thanks to the Sarthak Foundation for inviting me, and it's been amazing listening to everyone. So to your question, I think my journey with disability started, to be honest, when I was 11. After years of running from one doctor to another, I finally got a diagnosis of what was wrong with my eyesight. And at the same time, immediately got a disability ID card, which is something that Germany does. It's an actual ID card for disabled people. Since then, my eyesight has deteriorated, so I'm blind. And I could really resonate with Jill's story because I was also told by lots of people that I would not finish high school. And I think that was one of the reasons that really propelled me to pursue education and go all the way to PhD. So I slightly went past high school.
Wow.
And for me, it's been an interesting personal journey with disability as well. Being partially sighted first, I could hide it, but at some point it was dangerous to hide it. And it took me some time myself to use a cane, to accept this very visible sign of disability when being in the public, because I was aware of the stigma. And I experienced the stigma regularly, less so since I have a guide dog. They're more accepted in the UK than walking with a cane. But also, since I got those two letters in front of my name, the PhD has made a difference. But with my work, I originally did not start in the field of disability, similar to what some of the other speakers said, because I thought it's a bit cliche. I'm disabled myself. Should I really do research around disability? But then I came to sort of the same conclusion, I think, as Jill, thinking, well, if not me, then in a way, who else? Who else can talk on disability through the lived experience, but can also push the agenda forward, can make it clear to other academics how important it is to look at this topic. For instance, within management research, hardly anyone looks at disability. There are lots of insights in disability studies, but in my field, people, when they talk about diversity, they do not talk about disability. So making them aware and saying, we are 15% of the world population, you need to pay attention to us. And in my work, going across different countries, what I really see over and over again is stigma. It's stigma placed onto people, but what is even more detrimental in many cases is self-stigma, when people with disabilities themselves take on the society perception of I'm not worth anything. No one wants me. I'm a burden on everyone. And that's, I think, where lots of the interventions that I engage with local partners work on, trying to show people, no, you're not. You have very valuable skills. And I particularly work around entrepreneurship interventions, helping people to start up their own social venture or start up their own commercial ventures so that they can have that meaning and purpose in life and show everyone that they're not a burden, but they are very valued and very necessary for society to function well. Because from my very personal belief, I think only if we use everyone's skill sets, no matter what they are, can we really progress well. I think for me, one of the key things I've learned myself and I've seen in many is, again, resonating with some of the things Jill already said, is don't assume. And that's both the public about disabled people, but even more so as a disabled person, don't assume you cannot do things simply because the societal narrative, society might tell you you can't. One of the things, for instance, my parents taught me, and I have since heard this around the world from many other people, is you might not be able to do something the usual way, but there are workarounds. For those, you have to be creative. Some of them might take longer, but you can do this. And for me, that's one of the key things. And I also think generally for others not to make the assumption. I face lots of assumptions personally as well. For instance, if I tell people I have a PhD, most of them assume I lost my sight after I got my PhD, because they cannot imagine doing a PhD while you're blind. So it's facing those stereotypes in yourself as well as in others. But as a company, as a business, as a teacher, it's really, don't assume you know what it's like for that person. Don't discount their experience. Don't say, this isn't that bad. Or, come on, just do it, can't be that difficult. Appreciating the challenges, but then not stopping there. Not giving people the impression life is so difficult that they lose the courage to push past it. Sort of striking that balance between accepting that things can be more difficult, but discouraging people from going. And for the situation, it's always possible to create role models. For instance, one of the things this NGO could do, they will know their community. They will know which members of the community might have a disability and the different types. And I think a good starting point is to create a safe space first. So, for instance, using potential community meetings that happen once with COVID and so forth, it's safe to do so again. And having chats with disabled community members in a safe space, so where there's no other community member involved, talking about their lived experience, and then slowly working with them through probably the self-stigma they face. They probably struggle with their identity as a disabled person. So having conversations, and then having various disabled people meeting each other, and first starting out with this sort of peer support, and then thinking, is there something where they could help? Could they help out on a farm? Is there something else where they could take on a role in the community? Because those role models, they don't need to be the next mayor or something. It can just, for other disabled people, it can simply be seen you are accepted in the community and you're contributing something which can be as big or small as you like, and everyone feels comfortable with. But again, I think it's talking with people, building up their confidence first in a safe space, and then seeing what they feel comfortable with doing. Maybe talking to a local school about what it's like to be a disabled adult. It could be just being more and more open about it if it's a hidden disability, and engaging in different activities the community does, but being willing to address the issue and to break through this taboo. But that takes a lot of courage. So that needs to be supported through the NGO so that people feel safe to do that.